It is New Year's Eve. It is the A Train Sports Talk video podcast. And I hope you like the background. I mean, after all, it is a sports podcast, so we may as well have a sports theme. So, uh, before I really get into the NFL talk, I want to give a particular shout out to William Franklin. Young man, he has been keeping me abreast of things that are going on, and he sent me his schedule. He's a young hooper, and I will be out to check him out. So, young man, I want you to know I'll be out there to check your games out. Look forward to seeing you play. Uh, Speaking of basketball, as a matter of fact, uh, the high school season has already started. So, unfortunately, I didn't get to do a preview on my regular podcast. However, there are a few tidbits I would like to look at because I don't know what it's like where you're at, but here in my state, here I'm in the state of Kansas, I'm in the city of Wichita to be exact. Uh, I've had the chance to see plenty of girls basketball games. I've seen some guys too. As a matter of fact, first game of the season, I went to Derby versus Andover, and I have to say I was disappointed when I got there to find out that a particular player wasn't in uniform, but I do understand the circumstances. So prayers out to the Michaela Askew family. Definitely keeping your family in my prayers. No, there's no easy way to deal with the loss of a loved one, so we will keep you lifted in prayers. But even with that being said, Andover still couldn't put away Derby, and Andover's at full strength. Uh, since Michaela Askew has been back, they've been undefeated. It's a testament to the Kayla, the Michaela effect. She's not averaging near 30 points a game, but the things that she does is very instrumental to the team. And I'm pretty sure Coach Chadwick will say, hey, we missed her the first game, but we're not making no excuses for losing that first game. That being said, though, since then they've also knocked off May South, but the people in charge of ranking has not been so nice to Derby for whatever the reason may be. I think the Derby girls team should be ranked higher than what they are ranked based on the teams that they did beat. And I'm pretty sure if they were to play Andover at full strength, it'd be a different story. Hands down, it would be a different story. Uh, but there's been a trend going on here, and like I said, I'm gonna get to my, if you want to call it my national sports take, I'm gonna get to that. But right now, I want to give the area athletes some love because that's what I normally do on my podcast. Uh, I'm gonna back the train up a little bit. Excuse me, to one Ashley Singletary, who is now at Butler County Community College. She is one who came from a smaller school, went to a 5A school, May South, was 5A Player of the Year, good grades, awesome track and field athlete as well too. I mean, pick her sport. I mean, we know she's in Butler County for uh, basketball. As a matter of fact, she also garnered a Player of the Week award for Butler County. Equally talented in track, so she could have went either way with her talents. But she came from Eureka and went to May South. and didn't miss a beat. Then you look at Samaya Ellis, who's at Heights. This is her second year there. She came from the independent school, 2A school here in Wichita, Kansas. She went to Heights, and she's a central figure on that team. As a matter of fact, this is her senior year, and she signed to go to a 4-year school next year, which now brings me up to date with Zoe Buckner Franklin. Let me get the names right. Zoe Buckner Franklin. All she did last year at the independent school as a freshman, 18 games, I do believe, 372 points, 20.7 points per game average, 148 field goals out of 249 attempts for a 59% clip. All that did was help the independent school win to date their only state championship in 2A. She was 2A player of the year. So now we fast forward and we look at Cape Mount Carmel girls basketball. Right now they're 3-1. Who are they led by in scoring? You guessed it. Zoe Buckner Franklin. What's her average? She's upped her average from 20.7 points a game last year at the independent school. Now playing for 5A school Cape Mount Carmel, playing against 6A talent in the Greater Wichita Athletic League, average 28 points per game. As if that's not enough, she's also averaging 2.3 assists per game. Oh, her free throw percentage, she's hitting at a 79% clip from the free throw line. To those who didn't think she could make the transition, I think she proved the naysayers absolutely wrong. I'll be doing more high school player profiles, so to speak, that's what you want to call this. And there are some that are deserving. But I definitely want to point that out. Oh, on top of that, courtesy of my little partner I was telling you about, William Franklin, she's a straight A student. So not only is she savvy on the court, but she's smart in the classroom. Look forward to getting out, seeing the Caitlin girls team play along with the other teams that I follow, such as Derby. I plan on getting out watching Heights. I got my neighbor across the street. I believe in supporting our young athletes. That's why, come I say on my podcast, it's the number one podcast in the state of Kansas because it's the podcast to give young student athletes a voice and also to sound the whistle on good grade point averages and the value of good education. So I just want to bring some things to light here on the local area because I've said this and I'm going to say this again. I believe Kansas is going to be a hotbed of girls basketball where coaches will be flocking. When you look at the likes of, like I mentioned, Zoe Buckner, Michaela Askew, you got Maddie Vickery at Washburn Rural, Jalea Davis, who's already signed to go to KU, Samaya Ellis, who is already signed. I can't think of the school, but I know somewhere in Texas. Uh, and you look at just the plethora of talent on the girls' side that has been souped up. Uh, You look at Butler County Community College and their recruiting class, it consisted of both Destiny and Madison Smith from Derby, Ashley Singletay from Mays South, Maya Mayberry, and I can't think of the other one out of both two other players out of Heights. Oh, and for good measures, they also plucked Mercy Wimet out of Kilgore, Texas Community College. But I shine some light on the high schoolers because of the talent level that's been coming through here. And it's just only going to get better throughout the years. So get out and support women's basketball, girls basketball. As my good buddy at Derby, Coach Chad would say, don't call it girls basketball, don't call it boys basketball, just call it basketball. The one thing I would say about this difference between boys and girls basketball is plain and simple. With the boys game, you see a lot of isolation. With the girls game, you see more team oriented. Those of you who are in the Kansas area, and now I would encourage you to get out, check out as many games as you can, check out a variety of games as you can. Uh, but go check out Derby and check out Chadwick and this five in, five out rotation. They are very relentless, and they know that in order to see the court, it starts with defense. And then you throw in the 35-second shot clock that they're experimenting with this year. Man, it's a sight to see. But anyway, good luck to all the participants in high school basketball. I know they've taken a break. Games will start ramping back up, I do believe, this Friday on January the 3rd. So get out and check out the game in your area. As we move on through now, I want to look at some things in the NFL. And I'm just going to throw this out here, but and I'll get back to it later if I get a chance to get back to it because there's some headline news. John Gruden is in the news. That's something. When I didn't think he'd ever be back in the news, especially when linked to coaching. But I'm going to throw something out there. We all hear the radio talk show host and the pundits and the experts talk about who they think will be the MVP. Will it be Derrick Henry? Will it be Saquon Barkley? Will it be uh, Lamar Jackson? Will it be Josh Allen? I mean, all four of those names, pretty darn good case. Some say Jared Goff would have been in the mix had it not been for a five interception game. Some have even said Joe Burrow with the numbers he's putting up. But there is one name I haven't heard. And Detroit plays that team this Sunday, and it's going to be for the number one seed in the NFC. I don't hear nobody mentioning Sam Darnold. I think maybe he has a pretty valid case for MVP, just as valid of a case as the names I mentioned. I am going to, while I'm doing this, try to pull up his stats and let's just see where they compare to everybody else. Uh, Matter of fact, I am going to pull up his stats. It's the last thing I do because would Minnesota be in the position they were in had it not been for Sam Darnold? Would Sam Darnold be in the position that he's in had it not been for the coach having confidence in him, believing in him? There is a lot of factors that go in to the making of a good franchise in the NFL. One of them is upper management. You definitely have to have a solid upper management. Next thing you have to have in place is solid coach. Then after that, you have to have, if not an elite quarterback, a serviceable quarterback. Now, when you look at Sam Darnold, his stats this year, they look like this. Thus far, 4,153 yards, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and a QB rating of 106.4. To me, those numbers sound MVP worthy. Do I need to pull up anybody else's stats I think he compares with? Well, let me see about Josh Allen. Thus far, Josh Allen, 3,731 yards, 28 touchdowns, not bad, only six interceptions. His QBR, 101.4. Pretty valid argument. Well, what about Lamar Jackson? Lamar Jackson, his stats are looking like this for the 2024 season: 3,955 yards, 39 touchdowns, four interceptions. Maybe the front runner would be Lamar Jackson, but I just had to throw Sam Darnold in just to throw a monkey wrench in all the voters' thought process. However, you can't overlook one Saquon Barkley because he is on the verge of breaking Eric Dickerson's record. So you have to throw him in the mix. And at this point, his numbers looking like this: 345 attempts, 2,005 yards, 5.8 yards a carry, 13 touchdowns. Those numbers sound worthy of MVP. If ever there's a year that someone besides the quarterback should get MVP, my pick is Saquon Barkley. Because if a running back don't get it this year, and we haven't even touched Lamar, we haven't even touched Derrick Henry's stats yet. But if a running back doesn't get it this year, they may never get it. To which I would say, then they need to rename the MVP award. If it's going to be exclusively for quarterbacks, it should be Quarterback of the Year award. Then you should have Running Back of the Year award. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into MVP. I mean, you heard the name Joe Burrow's name mentioned, and he plays on a losing team. How does that happen? An MVP type player elevates the whole team around him. You look at Patrick Mahomes not having a great statistical year, but he finds a way to win. That's what separates him from Joe Burrow. So, as you view this video, and I'm pretty sure I put some things on your mind to think about, leave a comment for me because this is live streaming also on twitch.tv and also on my YouTube channel. Not the one I had specifically picked, but I do have a YouTube channel and this is streaming on YouTube. So in the comment section, let me know who you think your MVP ought to be. I'd be glad to hear you, see your feedback, interact with you, whatever the case may be. But I want to say, whatever you're doing tonight, it's New Year's Eve. Stay safe doing what you're doing. We want to see you in the new year. And we're going to get better at this recording act, this video podcast. Of course, the train will be rolling on the track. It hasn't rolled in a while, but as the high school basketball season ramp back up, you'll be getting a good dose of A Train Sports Talk podcast as long as this video segment right here. So I want to say thank you to all the guests I've had down through the years. You have made my podcast what it is. The new listeners, the old listeners, the young listeners. Appreciate each and every one of y'all. So look for the train to pull up at anybody's basketball gymnasium on any given Friday. And probably, most likely, on some Saturdays for the even younger than high school kids. Once again, I want to send a shout out to my new friend, William. Look for me not this Saturday, look for me next, let me see. I believe it'll be the game on January the 11th, I believe. Anyway, look for me January the 11th. I believe that's when that game is. I know on the 6th I'll be busy working, but William, check me out. I will be at your game on January the 11th, that Saturday, I believe, at noontime. Look forward to seeing you play. I will be supporting. So, and I also want to say, those you in the Wichita area, get out and support these young people in their endeavors. We talk about when they're doing bad, but we don't want to support them when they're doing good. So get out and support these young people. They deserve the support and the encouragement. So until the next time, I simply want to say have a happy and prosperous new year. Like I said, stay safe tonight. I want to see you in the new year, and I'll be looking forward to having guests lined up on my podcast as well as also my video podcast as well too. So stay safe. I'm out. God bless.